In the vibrant heart of Saigon, a chilling rumor spreads. A young man wakes up in an ice-filled bathtub, one kidney gone with only a cold note left beside him. From vague online posts, reporter Hung and intern Mai embark on a thrilling investigation, uncovering a ruthless organ trafficking network. Is Tuấn Anh a victim or an accomplice? What secrets lie behind the girl named H.A.? Tune in to unravel the horrifying truth, where each clue draws you closer to the dark underbelly of crime. On Vietnamese online forums, a terrifying rumor once sent shockwaves through the community, the story of kidney theft. The tale recounts a young man who, after a passionate night at a bar with a beautiful woman, woke up in a bathtub filled with ice, his body naked, and a long-stitched wound on his side. Next to the bathtub was a note, coldly informing him that his kidney had been taken. I cannot confirm the veracity of this rumor, but I personally witnessed its journey from a whisper on the internet to widespread panic. I even managed to locate the alleged victim. It all began with a few vague posts on local forums in Ho Chi Minh City. Mai, an intern at the Urban Mysteries newspaper, collected these posts and showed them to me. However, she was perplexed, unsure how to dig deeper, as the posts were mere anecdotes lacking concrete details about the victim or their origins. The case piqued my curiosity not only for its sensational nature but also as an opportunity to mentor Mai, a young woman fresh out of university in the art of investigative journalism. Thus, I decided to embark on this investigation with her. After days of searching, I found the young man from the story. He was lying in a bed at Saigon Hospital, his waist wrapped in thick bandages, his face pale and lifeless. He looked at me, his voice weak. Yes, the rumor online. It's true. Yet I knew this story was riddled with logical inconsistencies and implausibilities. Was he hiding something? Or was there a larger secret waiting to be uncovered? Mai, whose full name is Nguyen Dao Mai, was a final-year journalism student at the University of Social Sciences and Humanities in Ho Chi Minh City. At the newspaper, she typically handled organizing documents and editing articles. For a young woman fresh from academia, this topic seemed like an unsolvable puzzle. How could one investigate based solely on a few rambling online posts? Mai looked up at me, her ponytail swaying, her eyes filled with confusion. Mr. Hung, where do we start? I smiled patiently and pointed to a few lines in the posts. Actually, the clues are quite clear. Look here in the story, the man and woman met at a bar and then went to a hotel to book a room. In the middle of the night in Saigon, especially after the April afternoon rains, getting a taxi is difficult. So the bar and hotel must be close to each other. Seeing my nod in understanding, I continued. District 1 has only a few well-known bars. Flaming Fire on Lali Street is a few kilometers from the nearest hotel and is crowded with strict security. Meanwhile, Night Scent on BV and Walking Street is right next to Starlight Hotel. Based on the rumor, the incident likely happened there. Mai exclaimed, covering her mouth in amazement. Mr. Hung, you're like a detective. But then, with a mischievous wink, she added, but how do you know so much about bars and hotels? Got any secrets to spill? Ahem, I coughed awkwardly, avoiding her question, and led Mai to Night Scent Bar and Starlight Hotel. Unfortunately, the young man wasn't a regular at the bar. It seemed to be his first time hunting there. The bartender shook his head, saying he didn't know him. The hotel receptionist was equally unyielding, refusing to share guest information despite my efforts to persuade her. I tapped the reception counter, my tone serious. I have evidence confirming the kidney theft happened right here at this hotel. If I publish an article spreading this story, what do you think will happen to the hotel's reputation? A place where guests can lose their kidneys, nobody would dare stay here. The receptionist's face paled, her lips tightly pressed together. Seizing the moment, I discreetly slid an envelope across. When that happens, a lowly receptionist like you will likely take the fall, maybe even lose your job. But if you share a little information, at worst, people will say you're a bit talkative, right? She hesitated, then whispered, his name is Tuấn Anh. An ambulance took him to Saigon Hospital this morning. Mai and I immediately went to Saigon, checking each room in the inpatient ward. Finally, at a room at the end of the corridor, we found Tuấn Anh. He was a gaunt young man, about 25, likely a recent graduate working a few years. Tuấn lay in bed, his face pale, staring blankly at the ceiling, lost in thought. When we entered, he turned slightly, his eyes wary. "Hello, Mr. Tuấn," I said, pulling out a recorder while Mai opened her notebook. "We're reporters from Urban Mysteries. We'd like to ask you about the incident." Tuấn seemed tense, shifting uncomfortably, inadvertently revealing the thick bandages around his waist. "Yes, go ahead and ask. Are you aware of the online rumor about the kidney theft? How much of it matches your experience?" "It's almost identical. At first, I just wanted to warn others to avoid my mistake. But I didn't expect the story to spread so widely and cause panic. That wasn't my intention." After getting drunk, do you remember anything about what happened? That night I drank too much. I only remember going to the hotel with the girl to book a room. Then, when I woke up, I was in a bathtub full of ice, shivering. I tried to move, but my side stung. When I touched it, my hand was covered in blood, and there was a cut over 10 centimeters long. At the hospital, the doctor told me I'd lost my left kidney. "So, you were drugged, had your kidney removed, and the girl left?" "The ice in the bathtub was to keep the wound cold, right?" "Yes, that's likely it. If I'd woken up later, I might not have survived." "The girl you were with, can you describe her?" She said her name was Young, in her early 20s, short hair, big eyes, slender but very captivating. Mr. Tuấn, there's a female colleague here, so let's keep the details brief. Besides her appearance, did she share anything else?" "Well, at a bar, looks are enough. I wasn't there to interrogate her for a marriage proposal." "Thank you for speaking with us. One last question. Do you have any message?" Tuấn hesitated. Maybe don't publish it. I brought this on myself by chasing fun. I don't blame anyone. Better to handle it discreetly. Leaving the room, Mai sighed. Mr. Tuấn must have learned his lesson. At least something good came out of this disaster. I gave a faint smile. Learned his lesson? I think he's hiding something. Seeing Mai's confusion, I explained. First, a budget hotel like Starlight doesn't have the conditions for a kidney removal surgery. A wound that large can't be stabilized with just ice. He wouldn't have survived long enough to reach the hospital. Mai asked, then how did he lose his kidney? I pondered, let's go ask the doctor. Outside the room, I found Tuấn attending physician, Dr. Nguyen Van Hu. I introduced myself as a reporter from Urban Mysteries, but Dr. Hu's face darkened. No interviews. Leave.
He pushed us aside, entered an office, and slammed the door.
Uncooperative sources are common, but for Mai, this was her first time, and she grew discouraged. Pouting, she said, Mr. Hung, what now? I waved it off. No problem. Sherry is huge. Besides doctors, there are nurses and staff. Someone will talk. We roamed the inpatient ward, but oddly, from doctors to nurses, no one would speak. When we repeatedly showed our press badges, even the security guards eyed us suspiciously. Continuing was a waste of time, so I decided to look for clues elsewhere. As we were leaving, I spotted Tuấn in the hallway. He was leaning against the wall, walking slowly, careful not to touch the wound on his side. I rushed to help. Careful. Why didn't you call a nurse? Tuấn gave a weak smile. Just went to the bathroom. All the nurses are women. I was embarrassed. I helped him back to his room, told him to contact me if he had more information, and left with Mai. At the hospital gate, Mai stopped, her face pensive. What's wrong? I asked. It didn't seem like Tuấn was going to the bathroom. Mai frowned. Something felt off. I recalled the hospital layout. The direction he was coming from wasn't the bathroom, it was the morgue. Though the hospital wouldn't cooperate, the story couldn't stop there. We had one final lead, the girl named Chung. I returned to Night Scent that evening, when Saigon's nightlife pulsed under neon lights and the cool breeze after the April afternoon rain. The bar was packed, from booths to the counter, filled with people seeking fun. It was Mai's first time in such a place, her cheeks flushed with excitement. I had to pull her back to avoid the leering glances of some men. At the bar counter, I sat her down and snapped my fingers for the bartender. The bartender, in a white dress shirt, spun around stylishly, glanced at Mai sitting quietly beside me and winked. Mojito or B52. Both were strong drinks that could easily overwhelm a newbie. I glanced at Mai, still oblivious, and sighed in relief before glaring at him. 2 glasses of water. His smile froze, and he replied coldly, minimum spend is 100,000 VND, thanks.